Let's go over this multiple choice question about the light-dependent reactions in photosynthesis. And for this video, we're only going to go over one question because this is a super difficult question. Before we get into the question, let's just do a quick review of the light-dependent and independent reactions within photosynthesis. So again, we start with the light-dependent reactions. They take in light, water, and produce NADPH and ATP. A byproduct here is oxygen. Now, NADPH and ATP will fuel the Calvin cycle, or the light-independent reactions. This set of reactions takes CO2 and makes sugar molecules. Now, after NADPH and ATP are used, they're going to become NADP and ADP. These are going to go back to the light-dependent reactions to be reused. Let's get to our question now. The question says, assume a thylakoid is somehow punctured so that the interior of the thylakoid is no longer separated from the stroma. This damage will have the most direct effect on which of the following processes? Wow, again, there's a lot of words there. Before we get to the answers, let's try to figure out what this question's asking for. So again, we have a thylakoid, and within that thylakoid, we have a high amount of hydrogen ions. The whole goal of the light-dependent reactions is to create this concentration gradient of hydrogen ions from high to low. Now, this whole process is occurring within the chloroplast. So this here is the thylakoid, this here is the chloroplast. The reason why we want to create this concentration gradient is for these hydrogen ions to move through this enzyme known as ATP synthase. When they move through this enzyme called ATP synthase, it's going to make one of the main products of the light-dependent reactions, ATP. If you want a better look at this, here's a diagram. Again, we have the interior of the thylakoid in this area, and we have the exterior of the thylakoid in this area. All of these processes along the membrane here are going to help create that concentration gradient that makes the high concentration in the lumen and the low concentration in the stroma. Let's say there's some puncture here that allows the hydrogen ions to move back through and equal out the concentration gradients between the two sides. That's going to disrupt one major process. Let's see if we can find that process in our answers. The splitting of water. No, this splitting of water is going to go on whether or not there's a opening here or a puncture in the thylakoid membrane, so it's not A. B, the absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. Nope, that's still going to go on. It's in the membrane. Just because one part over here is punctured doesn't mean that this is going to necessarily stop. So it's not B. C, the flow of electrons from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1. Even if that puncture was here, remember that this is a 3D structure. There are many more photosystems within this whole thylakoid, so it doesn't mean that just because this part's punctured that these electrons couldn't find their way to a different photosystem. So it's not C. D, the synthesis of ATP. Remember that we need this hydrogen ion concentration gradient between these two different parts of the membrane, so you can see that this part would stop because we would no longer have this high to low concentration gradient because of the puncture. So that looks like it's the right answer. E, the reduction of NADP. Nope, this again would still go on because these molecules aren't going to be affected by this puncture. So that means D is the right answer.